morning once again, my lovely law enthusiast humans. Let's talk about the tea from day 3 of the Karen Reed trial. Take 2. We started off with the continuing of the other paramedic slash firefighter who was at the scene. Yannetti was the one who was cross-examining him, and I really don't understand why Yannetti was kind of going hard on the man. Sometimes saying one thing between the grand jury testimony, which was over 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and to today's trial, or this year's trial. I have mentioned before that personally, I would have a hard time remembering my day-to-day job of exactly what I said, what I did, because paramedics go to save people in emergency situations. That's their day-to-day job. And just like your day-to-day job, whatever it may be, unless something really significant happens, you don't remember everything. And yes, not every time they go to a scene is there a deceased person, but it is with the territory and dealing with kind of life odd situations is their day-to-day life as paramedics and firefighters. So going after him for the tiniest little discrepancies in "you said it like this," if it doesn't change the basis for me, if it doesn't change the context of the story, like for instance, if we look at Carrie Roberts' testimony, when she had changed what she heard versus what she was told from Jen McCabe and Karen Reed, that completely changed the context. It meant something very different, because that means the information about the Google search, the almighty Google search, from Jen McCabe, when her being asked to look it up in the 6 a.m.-ish hour from Karen Reed, is very different than the 2:30 a.m. that the Celebrate pulled up last time. So it changes the context a lot. The paramedics' context wasn't changed very much. They're just trying to say, oh, we're trying to discredit everyone. I think to have a Bowden defense to say that the investigation was botched, I don't think you have to try to discredit every single person who touched the scene. You have to go for the major people and the major events. The paramedic switching around a few words that doesn't change the meaning, I thought was kind of a waste. And it was like, bro, why are you going so hard on him? It looks like you're trying too hard, and the defense doesn't have to try hard to make the botched investigation defense. So don't push where you don't need to push, in my humble outsider opinion. Also, at the beginning of day 3, after that, the prosecution was allowed to play the clip that I got very upset about in my short. If you haven't seen that short, I'll link it below. That was a real-time moment emotion for me. I was really mad about it. It just makes Karen Reed look bad. I don't think it, again, it is such a reach that I think that, now, the good news is, at least as far as Karen Reed goes, for her sake, if a jury feels like you're doing something just to be nasty, whether or not it legally or ethically deserved to be in, if something is done and it's done like to be underhanded or nasty, and it's just a 3-second clip, so because it was taken out of order from when the Commonwealth wanted to put it in, I think it being out of context, it being really short, and even though it does make Karen Reed look bad, I think the fact that it does make her look bad might also shoot the Commonwealth in the foot, because the jury might see that and go, since it's out of context, why did we see that? Because she yelled something? Okay, yeah, what she said isn't great, but and I also think that could work in the defense's favor if they were to make the clip, if it became a big deal, which it might not be with everything else coming in, that, how do I say this? The fact that she's, Karen Reed is saying she didn't do anything, and then to have the day of the mom of John O'Keefe, of the victim, who already didn't seem to like Karen Reed, to have her go, my son looks like he got hit by a car. It could be like, well, she's being accused of something, and that could also ally in the fence, because one of the suspicious things that had happened and was brought up and emphasized in the first trial was that after things happened, people gathered at John O'Keefe's house, kind of a wake-esque moment. People were bringing food, condolences. Karen Reed didn't stay at John O'Keefe's home for very long, despite being his 2-year girlfriend. And having the emphasis be that the rest of the family didn't like her and didn't want her there, having the mom accuse her like that is like, I didn't do anything. I don't know what happened to him. I'm upset too. I think that aids in that defense as well. We had the introduction of some new witnesses, the manager and owner of the bar McCarthy's in Canton, Massachusetts. And that is because that is one of the last places where John had been the night of the incident. And there was video footage, and none of the stuff about McCarthy's came in. We saw and watched maybe too much unnecessarily in the first round about the Waterfall bar. But now we're at McCarthy's, and the McCarthy's thing is significant, or so it's being claimed, because that's where John O'Keefe and Karen Reed being they, got together at the beginning of the night and started drinking. Now, drinking and driving is wrong. We shouldn't do it. But everyone, including cops, I'm not excusing anyone's behavior, were drinking and driving under the influence the night of an incoming blizzard because people wanted to go out before they were getting snowed in. So, the problem here is, in the last trial, there was the ability for the defense to say, you don't know if she was drinking. Yes, she had a glass in her hand at a bar, but it was full of a clear liquid. It could have been water, it could have been seltzer, it could have been vodka and something else, but we don't know because there are no receipts. Either John paid or something paid in cash. We don't know who drank what that night. We don't know how much was in there. She didn't know if she had one drink and babied it. Well, because of Karen Reed's interviews, she had admitted on there, which is count 2 of DWI, DUI, OVI, whatever term they're using, that she was driving under the influence. Yes, and just to reiterate, the reason why the DUI thing matters so much is because count 2 directly relates to her driving under the influence, and then there's additional things under count 2 of because she was drinking and driving, she was unable to be in the state of mind. She was neglectful because of that. Her actions led to, even if she didn't directly do something to John, her actions or inactions domino effect to his passing away. So it's like, okay, even if you don't think she directly did something physically to him, like her car didn't get him, she was the one who dropped him off. If she hadn't been drinking and wouldn't have dropped him off, if they would have both stayed home, if she would have not been drinking, she would have been able to pay more attention to where he was and what he was doing, because in a lot of the other testimony, she thought that she had left him at the waterfall. She didn't even recall taking him to Fairview. Jen McCabe brought that up. So her how cognizant she was while under the influence is just a part of the charges. And again, it's that domino effect of, if you hadn't done this, he wouldn't have been there, this wouldn't have happened. So it's still negligent on her part, is what that charge associates with. And in her own words in the interview, she had had some drinks and she wasn't driving. She wouldn't have taken the expressway, but she would have. But she was willing to drive home. She was driving slow. She wasn't driving that far. And she said that she felt buzzed, maybe slightly tipsy, but she wasn't blackout drunk. Now, this contradicts what Carrie Roberts' testimony said, where when Karen called her, she said she had drank so much that she couldn't remember. So when you have Karen Reed's own words saying that she was drinking and had some drinks, and that she was accused of having 7 to 9 drinks, and for her, she really only felt like she had 3, because she said that I didn't drink all of the drinks. And according to her, John and her always left McCarthy's like regularly. If they didn't finish their drink, rather than leave it or try to down it, they would just take it with them to another place. Did McCarthy's know this was going on? They have cameras. So that happened. But the people from McCarthy's had to be introduced to allow in the video footage from that time and go into that explanation. And then we were introduced to another very, very emotional testimony. This one was again very hurtful, very crying, was his friend Mike. Mike and him, their sons were together, a very similar friendship to Carrie Roberts. Their kids hung out together. Mike's daughter and John O'Keefe's. It was really sweet because Mike called the niece his daughter, and it was like, yeah, our daughters got together. And it was like, oh, that hurts. That hurts. Way to stick it right in the feels, my man. But he was trying to hold back crying. He did get emotional at points. And oh my gosh, when the voice cracks happen, the tears start happening. It's just, it was hard. It was a hard watch. But he gave important information about the night leading up to the event, that their daughters had both gotten accepted to some kind of a school, and they were going to get to, and they celebrated with the girls, and then the girls were staying the night at Mike's house, and they were going to just get excited about the new school, the new opportunities that the new school would present, and that both girls got in and were accepted. And so I'm guessing it's some kind of a prestigious school. They just said a new school. They said that they got acceptance letters, so woo. And it was really hard when he said we were talking about the future. And then him and John went out, a couple of guys having a couple of beers. They went out. The girls were old enough to be on their own for a few hours. So they went out, and then Karen met up with them later. Mike had mentioned that there was some back and forth about plumbing that happened, but that Karen did eventually join them. Text messages came in. We're going to bring back Mr. Officer Guarino. So he has come back, and he is coming back in chunks. Every time they need to bring in text messages between the defendant's not taking the stand to read in the text messages, and Mr. O'Keefe is unavailable for reading text messages. So in the court system, you have to have somebody somehow connected or involved to read text messages. So the Celebrate expert is the one who's reading in the text messages, and let me tell you, the cringe level, not as cringy as some other texts we've seen in this case, warning for those of you who might not know, but the cringe level of these texts, every time Karen Reed texts somebody, I'm starting to think it's her. The only thing that I'm accusing her of is being a cringy texter. So what was happening in the text messages was just some back and forth about their relationship being rocky. Apparently they were arguing a lot. There had been other witnesses had testified that John was having problems with the way Karen tried to be a part of the family, because he thought that she was spoiling the kids. She would go out and take them out to eat quite a bit. She would buy them what he considered extravagant gifts, like taking his niece out to get her nails done. I don't think that that is a luxurious extravagance myself, as somebody who goes to get my nails done, but I don't know, maybe it is. And he interpreted that way, and he would get mad at her and like, stop buying them stuff. You're gonna spoil them. That's not how you like love and take care of somebody. And she said that she felt attacked in the text messages, that every interaction she has with the kids, he has a problem with. And I think that that just goes to show that he was he was protective, and he wants what's best for his niece and nephew. He's taking on this, and he was questioning his ability to be a good parent. He doesn't know how to parent, because he took the kids on when they were a little older. So he didn't have that whole, baby, toddler stage bonding development, learn as you go parenting. And there's no such thing as a perfect person, so there's no such thing as a perfect parent. But he was so concerned about it and having like a parental existential crisis. And so he doesn't know what's right or wrong, but he's like, I don't think you're supposed to spoil them. And there was a lot of back and forth about that. She was like, this is becoming toxic between us, because this is always how we fight. We're good when we're just talking about the two of us, but whenever the family stuff comes in, I'm always doing everything wrong. And he's like, I'm tired of fighting about everything all the time. We're always fighting. You always pick fights. And let's talk about what the plumbing issue was. Karen was like, I kind of want to go out, but I want to go out with you. Are you going out? He's like, I don't know. It depends on the stuff with kids, blah, 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 blah. And so then she kind of pesters him, tries to call him. He ignores her calls multiple times. He's over this. They were having a disagreement about where the relationship stance was. Are they going out or they're not going out? He doesn't want to talk to her. She doesn't want to be left on hold. And so finally he's like, yeah, we're going to go out. I'm going to go out. I'm heading out to McCarthy's with Mike. Blah, blah, blah. And then, so after all this stuff about, are you going out? I don't know. Okay, I'm going to go out. We can go out and hang out. She's like, I'm waiting on a plumber. And he gets mad. He's like, are you trying to bleep me off? And she's like, and I interpreted the text messages. This is not the exact text messages, but it was, was taking a shower to go out. The water was lukewarm and wasn't heating up. So I called a plumber I know down the road to come take a look at it. And this seemed to set him off. He was like, hope your plumber buddy is hot, who you texted is hot. And I'll put that text message over here. But that's so crazy. We've heard so much about how Karen Reed is so like trigger ready when it comes to jealousy, but it seems that John was mad too, and that he was easy to set off on a jealousy point too, because that was very out of nowhere. She's like, I was taking a shower to go out. The shower didn't work. We have a blizzard coming in. I need to make sure I have hot water. I called a plumber who's down the street, who I know is down the street, and he's like, oh, hope he's hot. You're trying to tick me off. You wanted to get me to go out, and then you're going to hang out and have a plumber over. And he's like, I could have fixed it. And she said, I was trying to not be a burden to you because you were saying how much you have going on and that I was being too much. So I was trying to back off. Back and forth, back and forth. And then he was like, just send him home. Come out with me. I'll fix your pipes on Monday. And so she was like, okay. Those were the text messages that were brought in. Again, the cringe. And so then we get to what we're doing. We have the half day that came in. Because they were able to finish up. Judge Canone, I will say, she's willing to take a half day instead of going, okay, you need to bring another witness in, you need to bring some clips in, we need to introduce some evidence to the jury. We have a whole day of trial, we're going to use it. Judge Canone is not like that. She's like, oh, we get a half day? Bye. And so that is where we ended on day 3. And on Friday, I don't think there's going to be, which is today when this goes up, the jurors are going out for a viewing to Fairview so that they can get a look to see like where the flagpole was, roughly where the estimation of the body when they go to look at videos. Nobody's going to point anything out to them, but it's just going to be so they can see for themselves the layout of the lawn and the yard, because pictures and videos only do so much justice for a situation. When you're in real life, you're like, oh, okay, like, could I have seen at night while it was snowing, if I came out of this door, could I realistically have seen someone on the ground over here? Like, or if I was in a car, how much of a car could I make out if I was here and it was dark and snowing? How much would I have paid attention if I was leaving somebody's house when it was dark and snowing and I had been drinking all night? In this layout, like, how obvious would something have to be for me to go, whoop? That's what allows the jurors to do. Karen Reed is allowed to be there. She has to stay away from the jurors. They are going to block off the street, and they're just going to be out there for a while. It's because Karen Reed is not arrested. She is out on, she's not, I don't know if she's not on bond, but she's like not incarcerated during the trial. So she is allowed to attend the viewing. She's allowed to be present for court proceedings in her trial. So that is what is happening, and we are all caught up. All right. That is where we end for this weekend, my lovely humans. I will have some non-trial content coming up. And let me know who you're interested in seeing. What are you thinking about the trial so far? And yes, I know that I am not a legal enthusiast, and you are catching me on these recaps either really late at night or really early in the morning. I will see you all in the next update. Bye, my lovely humans.